weather conditions obviously put us in a tough spot, and Zoom has become a great resource since we've come out of COVID and all those things. So, but we start the day, Candace, talking about a grant that the McLean County Museum of History has received. Tell us about this grant and what it means for your organization.
Yeah, so late last year, although last year was only a couple weeks ago, it's odd to say that still. I'm still trying to not write 2024 on my checks that I write.
Same.
But in December last year, the museum announced and received funding from a grant from the Institute of Museum and Library Services, which is a federal grant that we received. And this award of about $72,000 is going to allow us to improve our art storage space for our object collections, and also expand that storage space by about 50%. And that's a huge thing for us. Because number one, as part of our mission, is to obviously preserve and protect the collections that we have that tell McLean County story. And one thing a lot of people might not think about is that we have a decent sized art collection here at the museum. Local artists, obviously, a lot of them nobody's probably ever heard of, but maybe when you've seen some of the art, you might recognize those things. But some also more well-known regional artists we also have in our collection. And this grant will allow us to reimagine our art storage, also making it safer to store our art. I can tell you that when I would go into the art collection, occasionally it was kind of like you were a hamster going through a maze, because there's just so much art in there. And the aisles were very narrow, and I always felt like I had to hold my breath just because I didn't want to like accidentally touch anything. But now we're going to get those space saver shelves, which are movable, and the art will be secured to them much better. And this, oh gosh, I mean, when you're in a historic building like us, we're in the old McLean County Courthouse, which was never designed to be a museum. You kind of have to, and I quote, make it a Tim Gunn moment, make it work. And you have to get creative with how you store things in a facility that was never intended to be a museum. And so this grant is going to allow us to better house over 550 pieces of local art, some of which goes all the way back to the 1800s and some as recent as the 2000s. So we're really excited to be doing this process. The grant is also going to allow us to photograph all the artwork, which is a big thing that we've been trying to do, is photograph all of our object collection pieces, which is a challenge because we have almost 20,000 objects in our collection.
Wow.
But we are working with a great volunteer. He's a local photographer. His name is Kevin. I'm going to give him a shout out. And he diligently comes in here a couple times a week and just takes photo after photo after photo of all of our really cool objects that are in our collection.
So with this this space, creating more space, more organization, I feel like just by organizing, sometimes we have a tendency, and I think it's just the nature of being busy, having so much. You probably just throw things in a room and you maybe not forget it's there, but it's like, we'll come back and organize it later, and then you say that 3 months later and 6 months and so on and so forth. I feel like just organization may make things a little easier for the museum. Is that a fair assessment?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we don't just throw things in collection spaces. I mean, sometimes we do, when we get things in, sometimes we process it, but we have to come back and like take the pictures or, do additional research on the objects. So there is a great plan that we have, and our curator of collections, Jackie Kane, does an amazing job with keeping our objects safe and protected and well documented. And so she's the real spearhead behind getting this project rolling and helping us reimagine our collection spaces to make them even more efficient, because we get stuff all the time. People are always contacting us, either the collections or the library and archives saying, hey, I've got this stuff from my family, or I used to work at so-and-so. or I found this picture, in like a house that I bought, do you want it? And we would love to be able to say yes to everything, but unfortunately we can't say yes to everything. And so, we have to be strategic about what we take. Definitely, make sure we don't have duplicates, make sure that things have really good local provenance and have a story behind it, so that we can, best preserve our local history. And, art is a particularly unique, artifact that we collect. And I feel, every object has its own unique sets of conditions it needs to be kept in, and ways it needs to be stored. And this project is going to allow us to take better care of the artworks that we have, and also allow us to take more artwork in the future.
How do you create more space at the museum?
So, like I mentioned, with this particular grant, we're getting space saver shelves, which are the kind of shelves that like you can roll like along, and so the art will be secured to that, and you can actually roll the panels that they're attached to, and not have to like physically take things off all the time to move them. Because the shelves we had in there before, you couldn't move them, and honestly, I think a strong breeze could have, made them not safe.
Right.
And you just, kind of make it work with what you have. We also, purchased a lot of shelving from archival companies like Gaylord, all those kinds of supplies. And we, make the best of the space we have here to do the best. And part of the process of expanding the storage in the art storage area was removing the drop ceiling. Like you have in your background, I have in my background, we all have drop ceiling. They added drop ceiling to our building, I believe, in the 60s as an energy saving method, because our ceilings are really high here. They're like 12, 13 feet high in our building. And so they removed those drop ceilings so that we could add more vertical space to that area to increase storage as well. So
Gotcha.
I'm excited. I know we're all excited here. This grant will help us offset about 2/3 of the cost of the project. It also allows us to hire a part-time temporary staff person to help go process through all this material too. And so it's pretty cool.
All
Very
right.
excited.
Nice. Awesome. You mentioned the grant that you did receive. Is that a competitive grant? Is in grant funding just in general, is that something you're pursuing often?
Oh, yes. We are always working on future grants to fund projects like this, to fund future exhibits, to fund programs. We are also, pursuing a grant to reimagine the jail cell that we have here in our building.
Oh, wow.
So when this was a courthouse, the sheriff's office was here. The McLean County Sheriff's Office was in one room on the first floor, and that is now our Working for a Living exhibit. And we want to reinterpret that jail cell to tell the story of not just what that room was, that people were kept in that jail cell temporarily before they went to their trials here on the second floor in our courtroom, but also, talk about mass incarceration, and what conditions were like at the local McLean County jail and the city jail. And we really want to take that deep dive into that system and kind of help educate people. And, because a lot of people come in and kids like to go in the jail cell. They like to lock themselves up in there. And, it's something people are going to do, something they're going to have fun. Not everybody can say, I got out of jail real easy by going into that museum. But we really want to help educate people about, the seriousness of that topic and, what it may have been like for people. Yeah,
you're taking a much more serious tone than I would have, because the stories in a jail cell, could be rather funny and humorous, with some of the things that go on in there. Not always, but from time to time.
No, I totally understand, where you're saying, everybody likes to, share the stories of like crime and criminals,
right?
And, everyone wants to try and connect themselves to Al Capone, which I haven't found a good connection yet here in McLean County, but we definitely do have our own stories about, true crime here in McLean County, which I'm actually working on a program about some true crime stories.
Yeah.
Not anytime soon. Got to do a lot of research. But I feel like while you can, have that fascination with crime and what happened, you can also, help people understand the gravity of the situation and how, yeah, these were real people. Sometimes they were falsely accused, sometimes they were falsely imprisoned, and other times, yeah, they did a heinous crime and they needed to go to jail.
Right.
So grants help us tell more stories of our local history, and we definitely, without them, we couldn't do a lot of what we do here.
Sure. Well, and with the grant opportunity there, Candace, you mentioned that this one particular grant for the storage space. Just speak to it, and why getting a grant like this is just so important to the, like you said, the collection and the museum, and just what it means for the museum. How about that?
Well, getting grant funding, helps us take some of the pressure off of our endowment, because we do have a nice sized endowment here at the museum that helps, pay our salaries, keep our lights on, but we can't do what we do without public support. And so we, apply for state grants, we apply for federal grants, and they are very competitive, even, at the state level. So for us to get an IMLS grant is really huge. Last year, we also received a much, much larger grant from the federal government to help us digitize more of the pantograph negatives. Right. $550,000 grant from the federal government that we can use over the next several years. Hopefully, that is going to allow us to digitize negatives that go all the way up through the 60s, and it helps us pay 2 part-time people that we need to do all that data entry once we get the negatives back from the company who's scanning them for us. A lot of this history would remain unseen if places like our museum and other museums didn't get the support from grants and other entities.
Interesting stuff. Well, Candace, when do you hope to have this project started and perhaps complete? Is there a timeline on that yet?
We are definitely in the early stages of that grant. We actually just hired the part-time person who will be assisting with that project. We estimate it's probably going to take about 19 months to complete the project. Wow. So next summer, maybe we could be done. So, and I'm sure we'll be sharing, pictures, like a before and after of what the space looks like, and who knows, the possibilities, and hopefully more exciting art pieces from local artists in the area will join our museum collection in that re-envisioned space. Now,
and I think you mentioned this just a little bit. Do you have like a catalog of everything in the museum at this point?
Yeah, absolutely, we do. So we use a software called Past Perfect, and that is a catalog of all of our artifacts in the museum's collection. Like I said, it's almost 20,000 artifacts, at this point. We have been doing the slow process of actually getting online access to some of those artifacts that people can go to our website, or they can come here in the building and actually look at a little over 1,000 objects from the museum's collection, and learn more about the people who made McLean County's home and the kinds of things that we preserve here. And it's a lot of fun. We average about 1,000 searches per month on that Past Perfect database, including kids at our local schools. Their teachers are using the databases with them to help them learn more about McLean County through our material culture.
That's fantastic. That's great stuff. Good stuff. Making it available to the community. That's what you want to do for sure. Very good, Candace. Well, hey, we are well past needing a break. Best place for folks to learn about all things McLean County Museum of History.
You can go to our website, makehistory.org, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. You can find all the happenings on all 3 of those platforms.
Sounds good. Again, Candace Summers, McLean County Museum of History, my guest on the Zoom call. More to come with Candace on the morning show.
WHOW. Exclusive benefits.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn steady, beans higher, wheat trading lower. March corn up 1.5, 457.5. May corn up 1 1/4, 465 3/4. July corn 469, up a penny. January beans up 9, 10.01 1/4. March beans 10.05 3/4, up 6 3/4. May beans 10.16 1/4, up 5 1/2. March Chicago wheat 5.30 3/4, down 3 1/4. May wheat down 3 1/4. 5.42 3/4. January bean meal 289.40. That's down 2.40. January bean oil 43.77, up $1.49. Livestock market January feeders 271 even, up $1.77. February live cattle 198.12, up 52 cents. February lean hogs 81.85, up 7 cents. Energy market February crude oil up 295, 76.87. Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network.
Happy New Year from all of us at Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton and Farmer City. This is Scott Baum. Most of our customers trade for a different SUV or truck because their needs change each year. That's good because we have transportation options for you. Plus, we need your trade. Our selection of top quality pre-owned trades come from you. Come see our ever-changing new Chevrolet and Buick inventory today. BaumChevyBuick.com. Right from the start.
Liberty Village of Clinton's Memory Lane provides fitness for the mind. Hi, I'm Jill Rieger, Director of Marketing. Our memory care program focuses on an individual's strengths for personalized care. Click on our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
SIU Family Medicine wants the best health for you and your family. Be a champion. Protect your loved ones. The SIU Center for Family Medicine of Lincoln is accepting new patients. Click their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com to schedule your appointment.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Candace Summers, McLean County Museum of History, our guest in the Zoom call today. And Candace, let's talk about online tours. What are online tours and how are they accessible?
Yeah, so throughout last year, the last couple months of the year, we began working on putting 2 of our audio tours and walking tours online through a new app called Tourient, Tourient. And you can either go right to our website to open the app, or you can download the app to your phone. And these are walking tours that you can do, one of which is a downtown Bloomington architecture tour that has walking directions and a map. And the other is our Lincoln and Bloomington Normal tour that takes you to several locations in Normal and Bloomington, most of which are downtown. And you can see the places that Lincoln was, that have a connection to him, but you can also learn about the beautiful historic architecture that is in downtown Bloomington. Because before that, we used to have, QR codes, which, QR codes were huge when they first came. But, a lot of people, instead of walking around finding these signs, they're like, hey, it'd be great if we, could do some kind of, virtual online map. And then our curator of digital humanities, Tori, who knows way more about these things than I do, she began working on putting these onto an online platform to make them easier for people to go experience history right in our own backyard.
Nice. That sounds, I got to be honest, that sounds like a big effort.
It is. Some of these tours, needed to be edited, had to, fix some things in them, just correct, as we all do. We have to correct this change over time. And so we updated them and edited them. And it took a while to get them online. And of course, sometimes technology likes to do things that we don't want it to do. So you have to make sure that where it's telling you to go on the map is where it is on the map that you can bring up on the app. And so after, several rounds of edits, we debuted them on our website and through Tourient, and we've gotten some really great feedback. The Lincoln and Bloomington Normal one in particular, that has an audio component. Mm-hmm. When we debuted that audio tour, which was on a CD, you can put it in your car and drive around and see all these sites back in the day. Local Lincoln portrayer Jim Curran, he did the voiceover for Lincoln on that CD. So while you're walking around or driving in town, you can also listen to him narrate as Lincoln, how Lincoln may have experienced Bloomington Normal and the people he affiliated with here on that tour as well.
Yeah. Well, and back to our conversation in the last segment about this being something being available to schools and that sort of thing. I feel like this is a great resource for educators. They don't have to pull their kids out of class. This can be something that they do from the classroom.
That is exactly right. You know, we work really hard to work with our local school districts and regional school districts to get resources in the hands of the teachers. And we know how hard it is getting kids out of school to get a bus. You know, they have to do so much in a school day that if we can get more resources into the hands of the teachers and into the classrooms, that just makes it so much easier for them to be able to connect what they're doing in the classroom with local history. So this is a great way that they can experience it, you know, in the classroom. And then maybe with their families, they can go actually see the sites. But there are images with all of these, like the historic architecture tour. There's graphics of the buildings.
Sure.
And then the tours, there's site photos of the people and also the places too. So a great resource for everyone.
Definitely. Well, Candace, I am so sorry to do this to you. We're out of time for the day. Best way for folks to learn about all things McLean County Museum of History.
You can visit our website at mchistory.org to see all of these online resources and also our upcoming calendar of events.
Candace Summers, McLean County Museum of History, our guest on the Zoom call. Network News is now.